other traditions, maybe in the Buddhist tradition, there may be folks who do certain forms of the undoing of a self, the notions of letting go, the breaking of attachments, the sevenfold path. It's Namyo Renge-Ko. I devote myself to this as a cause and effect through sound. So it might be in a Buddhist context, it may be in terms of, but the prophetic has to do with, and whatever religious tradition has to do with the accentuating of the suffering of the most vulnerable. So who catching the most hell? And how are you helping to alleviate that hell? So you don't have to be Christian to do that. My soulmate, the great Albert Camus, who says that the artist must embrace that the artist must never side with those who are the makers of history, but rather those who are the victims of it. That sounds like Matthew 25:35 to me. That's what you've done unto the least of these, so you've done it unto me. So Christianity does not have a monopoly on these notions of prophetic spirituality. And then on the broader questions of what it means to be an ally, that I would like our movements to discover themselves of that construction. At least ally being a phase, not an ontological category, but something you pass through on your way to being a freedom fighter. That you make a choice that you're going to stand with young people in whatever various ways. You're going to take the kind of risks that they need to take, and give them a limited Christocentric construction of the world, particularly the notion, my Christian notion, my Christian identity that emerges out of this obsession with the shedding of blood. Right, so in Christian tautology, there is no remission of sin without the shedding of blood. There's going to have to be some sacrifices made. Some people are going to have to put their bodies on the line, and they're going to have to take real risks. And that's what young people are doing in the street now. So it can't be the kind of woo-woo, willy-nilly kind of spirituality that we're all one, and if we can just all get along. You gotta acknowledge the asymmetry of power. Somebody's going to die. You have to be honest about that with young people. But it's just like if we just all believe that we're one, and if we all go to the same sweat lodge, that's gonna free us. If we do yoga together, that's gonna free us. Yoga centers in gentrifying communities are like liquor stores in black communities. They're on every corner. It's a way in which individuals who are trying to contend with the empire, even though they have high levels of wealth, still finding themselves vacated of any spirituality. So the yoga studio becomes the place that replaces ritual in their life. So yoga becomes about an individual spirituality, not about collective liberation. So, and sometimes you find more revolutionary discourse in the liquor store than you do in the yoga studio. And so part of that spirituality is for us is a way to combat that. And then lastly, what we're going to do here now, because I'm going to shut up. I hope I answered your question. Or at least kind of give you a sense of a frame in terms of how we understand doing this work. Is that we're going to do this, I'm saying this kind of ritual. I think it's kind of some neoliberal reconstruction of a Native American tradition. There's a kiva, I believe is the name, where young people sit in the middle, they're going to talk, y'all going to listen. And then after they, no, I'm shutting up. You go ahead, baby. I'm going to let the young folks run this. I'm going to get out y'all way, because that's our job as old folk, is to get out your way.
Thank you, Reverend. So what's going to happen is that for about the next 10 minutes, the center circle will be having a conversation about what we're working on, what is happening in our communities, and talking about amongst ourselves how we bring others into our struggle. Then after the 10 minutes, about 10 minutes are up, this youth are going to turn and we're going to face you. And we're going to ask you that question. How are you going to help us? And what do you need from us also so that you can help us? And what does that mean to work together? So for about the first 10 minutes, the outside circles will be quiet and listening to the conversation going on within. And I'll help facilitate that conversation. Any questions before it starts? So let's start with the basic. Just begin the conversation with what are you all doing back home, wherever your home is, in your community. The inner circle. The inner circle. From this point, all of my facilitating is going to the inner circle.
We've been trying to boycott immoral companies like Nestle and other companies that just have no regard for working class or other people in countries that just have sweatshops and basically slave labor.
And can everyone, whoever will talk, say their name?
My name's Che.
And then when you made your comment, ma'am, what was your name?
Dama.
Dama. Okay, back in the circle.
I think I'm Gabrielle. For me, what I'm trying to refocus on, I kind of let my practice of giving back and being a part of the movement slip for a few years. But what I've been focused on lately is local activism and volunteering. I asked myself, what could have helped me the most when I was young? And it wasn't some, great act or march or anything. But I wish I had had people who were there for me on a local level, some place I could have gone to just be me and had support and just someone to talk to. So I've been volunteering with our local Q Center in the multicultural department at our community college, which gives people from different ethnicities and maybe cultures that are undervalued a place to come and celebrate and express their culture. And then our Q Center is a local center for LGBTQ youth. We have a lot of kids who have to sneak away and come, or who it's their only outlet in their life to express themselves and be who they are and be respected as that. And I still aspire to do, the member of our local Democrats and all that great jazz. But I think it's so much, what I've been trying to focus on is how can I impact an individual directly.
I think, so my name is Sofian. I've been driving around the little golf cart a lot. So in terms of what I've been working on these past years, so my father's a refugee from Palestine, and the current conflict between Palestine and Israel hits me in the heart, hits me pretty deeply. And so growing up, I've kind of been involved in different peaceful protests and over in Seattle, different ways to kind of start building towards a better tomorrow. What I personally want to do is look outward in terms of first building in local communities. Next year I'm going to be over in Portland for college. I'm attending Pacific University, which is in Forest Grove, about 10 minutes away. And I want to get the local communities first involved with each other before reaching out on a global scale. And so getting in contact in Portland to local churches, synagogues, mosques, to start some interfaith dialogue. And I think first it would probably be more beneficial for like barbecues and stuff for people to get to know each other. And then to build towards having these seminars and having these dialogues where we can kind of look internally at our problems and see where these conflicts arise. Upon reaching that point, I do want to delve into the Palestinian suffrage that is currently occurring and figure out what I can do and what the communities can do together to reach a solution of sorts.
Did you say your name?
Sophia, yep.
I and Raven have also been trying to educate people about I've been trying to educate people about the immoral things our government does and the immoral things that companies do to just make money, a lot in schools and stuff. Just trying to do that. It'd be nice to help. Just talk to people a lot.
I really want to foster basically a compassion towards non-humans. I try and through things like education and of other people and of myself, just try and teach people about or point out the beautiful things in the nature of this world. I mean, I love human art and all sorts of things that humans do too, but I think in a lot of activism, people focus a lot on humans, and I personally don't feel like we're on some sort of pedestal that makes us better than any other living creature. And I try and help other creatures as well. Habitat restoration is something that Trey and I's school does, and volunteering with organizations that do things like that. And probably gonna let someone else talk.
Name, please.
Raven, sorry.
Thank you.
I recently graduated from Reed College with a degree in physics, and I faced a lot of sexism in that field, and so I worked a lot with other women and minorities in physics to sort of raise awareness to the kinds of problems we face in being students in that field or pursuing careers in that field. So a lot of raising awareness and even just sort of supporting, or especially supporting other women and gender minorities in physics and math.
Alright guys, also be sure to speak up, because I know a lot of people are having trouble hearing. So just speak as loud as you can for the benefit of everyone.
I'm Julia Selker.
I know we're talking about stuff that we've done in our communities, but the Reverend told us to be honest, so I'm going to talk about the stuff we've attempted to do and that didn't work out. Black Lives Matter, we tried to bring that to our community, and to take note, I live in a primarily white suburban community, so we don't have African Americans out in the streets impoverished or doing like hard drugs, at least not so apparent, and they're in smaller pockets that are hidden by literally like hidden by forests. So we tried to bring that campaign to our school. A lot of it got shut down by it just seemed so irrelevant. Like, why are we having this discussion here in our little utopia of middle class, nothing goes wrong. So we tried to do that. I work with Amnesty International at like a high school level. It's not that great. We just do a lot of letter writing for prisoners of conscience. I'm primarily interested in just how you get people to care about things that don't necessarily directly touch them. And it's both like on an emotional level and like distance-wise. These people are far. Amnesty works with people abroad, so it's so much more easier to ignore them rather than like when people when people raise a ruckus like in your backyard here in America, and a lot of the human rights stuff that I tried to do, it's like a core group of people who care and then try to reach out, dwindles, fails.
Name, please.
Tabaria.
Thank you.
I guess since no one is volunteering yet,
So,
this,
do you mind if I change the prompt a little bit to see if we can get more people in?
Yeah.
What's something that gets under your skin that gets you working every day?
so what's something that takes you off,
something
basically?
Something that takes you off, or an issue that you know you need to work on because you feel is morally wrong. Does that help?
Occupation of a country and a people.
Mm-hmm.
Indifference and apathy.
Yeah, let's pass it on. I like this idea.
Homophobic slang terms that are just used through our daily lives to insult someone.
Name.
Well,
Unequal access to educational systems, for instance.
Abuse of animals. Oh, and my name's Anna.
Same one as hers. Yeah, animal rights, like kind of what Raven was saying. Oh, I'm Eleni, by the way. Just like humans aren't like on a pedestal or anything. Animals should have the same rights.
My name's Eva, and I would have to say racism in my college definitely frustrates me a lot and gets me wanting to care about things and do stuff. And also watching our politicians and people in the like older generations make legislation that totally screws over our generation, and that just makes me pretty mad.
Gabrielle again. I think the thing that's really been bugging me lately, the systematic legal disenfranchisement of trans people and the discriminatory, the lack of access to healthcare, first of all, in most states, the lack of access to legal recourse, the lack of access, and also for LGBT people in general, that you can come out, you can get married, now you can get married on Sunday and fired on Monday. And also the latent racism that is so, the apathy of the ruling white class, basically, towards people of color that, oh, just get over it. It's only 40 years ago. That I think that's the things that really get under my skin here of late.
In fairness to LGBT community and environmental issues such as global warming and the decrease of species.
Can you share your name, please?
I'm Rosemary.
Thank you.
Climate change with global warming. Antonia.
It really bothers me how people don't really care where they put their trash, and it really messes up the ecosystems. My name's Emma.
What really bothers me is I grew up in the woods, and a lot of the native trees in Oregon are on the invasive species list because the logging companies don't want them there. And they basically killed all the forests and replaced them with Douglas fir, which is a native tree, but all the other native trees were just destroyed, basically. And that really irritates me.
My name's Bash Jernigan. There are too many to list, unfortunately, but environmental racism and environmental destruction in general. Right now, I go to school in New Orleans. I grew up on the Gulf Coast in a small little town called Gulf Shores, Alabama. And it's pretty terrifying and infuriating to live in New Orleans and come to love the city so much and see that, a football field of land is lost every hour, I believe, in New Orleans on the coast. And to see nothing seemingly being done about it is obviously upsetting, for lack of better words. So anyway, yeah, it's got a lot of work to do.
My name is Sage. I think I would just say just a lack of respect for certain people for reasons simply being outside the economic norm.
I'm going to go with apathy and ignorance. Ignorance, not being the lack of knowledge, but people that have the understanding or have the knowledge and then still choose to do something immoral. And, apathy again being hearing these things that are happening and then not caring.
And could you say, I don't think you shared your name.
I'm Raven.
And then right next to you too.
I'm Sophie, and something that really gets under my skin is like in everyday conversations, the normalized, institutionalized racism and sexism that gets into our conversations, and the people that like can be racist and they don't even realize that they're being racist.
Exactly what you said, and the denial when people are confronted with it, the absolute insistence that they're not in the wrong, that they have no reason to change, and that it's others' problem for being offended than the offender's problem for being offensive. I'm also outraged by women being underpaid, overcharged, and interrupted. I'm Kat.
So,
I also hate that nobody cares about the bees.
this next part, I'm going to speak really loud, but this next part, I'm going to ask, it'll be hard because we're using a microphone to keep the conversation going, but to have a conversation now about how you all can support one another on these issues.
So is the inside circle turning?
No, first in the inside circle, have a conversation amongst the youth.
Okay.
First.
As far as the bees goes, you can not buy any conventional agriculture. Not supporting conventional agriculture because they use mass amounts of poison that harms, a wide spectrum of creatures, including key creatures like our pollinators. And, directly or indirectly, I'm not going to go into this, but someone else should take this.
I was going to say something to build off of what Gabby and Rosemary said about the LGBTQ community. We need to start asking for preferred pronouns, including like, oh, what's your name and your preferred pronouns, I'm assuming based on what they look like.
I think that's a great idea. In my community program, when introducing yourself, that's like the norm to say female pronouns only or gender neutral pronouns only. And as much as I think that's a great idea, we should talk about how to actually normally incorporate that into everyday conversation, because it's great in a circle like this, but in real life interactions, it'll take a while to get out of our conformist, our rigid conformity with gender identification.
I think that educating people about what companies are doing in other countries and how they're affecting the environment, but also just trying to get people involved in boycotts, because that's one of the most powerful tools we have against big companies, because we support them, and without support they don't have anything.
Wait, how widespread are your boycotts?
They're not too big, but I am not in Eugene right now, so the people in the town I'm staying at my dad's, and I can't really reach those people, it's really hard. The only place they work is a mill, and it's horrible.
And we're going to close up with this question, and Seikou's going to take over.
Well, actually, that's my last one.
This comment. Go for it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, as far as
use the microphone.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I was just going to touch on the bees again. One thing that I'm currently working on back in my city government, in WWFOR, is basically environmental education with local elementary school students, where we're getting with them in building pollinator gardens around the city. So not only are we educating them about the importance of bees and other pollinators, but we're actually contributing to habitat restoration. We're providing more habitat for obviously really important creatures in our lives. So I think I feel like that's one thing that we can kind of do. It's kind of like everything. We may feel like we're not making much of a difference, but collectively we make a really big difference with different projects like that. So if there's a way we could do that in every community, then we try to help out a little bit.
Thank you all in the inner circle. Let's shake it up for Beth. And shake it up for yourselves too.
Let's shake it up for Como.
Woo! Yeah. All right. Thank you, Bash.
Over my head, I hear freedom and
Amen.
over my head, I hear freedom in the air. Over my head, I hear freedom in the air. Over my head, I hear freedom in the air. Over my head, I hear freedom in the air. Over my head, I hear freedom in the air. There must be a God somewhere. Over my head, I hear freedom in the air. Over my head, I hear freedom in the air. Over my head, I hear freedom in the air. Oh, there must be a God somewhere. Justice, justice. Over my head, I hear justice in the air. Over my head, I hear justice in the air. Over my head, I hear justice in the air. There must be a God somewhere. So before we switch out and they're going to ask you some questions, I want to share kind of what the process has been so far, right? So I, the old dude, introduced and got out the way. We create the space for young people to do their thing, right? But we get out the way. Thank you. And so we hold the space for them. Make sure they feel safe, that they can be in conversation with them, and we're observers, right? They're gonna have to make their own mistakes, which they will, right? And you observe those, and then what we're gonna do is when we flip out, they're gonna ask you what they can do to help support you being better in relationship with them, right? It's a two-way street, and so a few of them, sister gonna facilitate probably 2-3 of them, listen to you and respond to you about what do you feel like, what do you need to help you be better integrated, right? And that's a model of how you do the relationship when you're with the young folks in the particular communities that you find. And some of y'all may have to drive to find some. All right? So we're about to shift in that process, but we're trying to model in this what it should look like, because part of being an ally, for me, a freedom fighter, is these kind of exchanges of relationship, right? Because the reconciliation becomes greater in the possibilities in rooms like this versus out in the society, because these individuals can make choices. As individuals, you can make choices about how you want to be in relationship with one another because you are self-selecting. You're here because you care about the world being a little better. Right? So the possibility of reconciliation in this context is real. And that's how we know it'll be possible out there. That we've lived it, we've experienced it. We know what loving each other, we know what intergenerational looks like, it feels like, and smells like it. And it's so good to us that we want the rest of the world to have it. Right? So that's what we
Right?
So that's what we're gonna do. So go ahead, baby. I'm gonna get out your way.
All right. Oh gosh, this is weird. It's time for y'all in the middle to spin around and pose the question: how can we help you help us, essentially? So this part is a lot more outer circle interactions. Talk amongst yourselves. Let's get close and talk.
Obviously, really but not the I guess now
Hi, yeah, I think something we used to talk about a few years ago when I was young was generation gap, and then also there's of course a communication gap. And I think that doing something like this, a conscious exercise to break through that, is pretty powerful. Instead of complaining about, oh, I can't talk to these young people.
Do we have any of the youth? Okay. So again, then pass it over to Ray.
In terms of what I took out of this, I'd say like over there you're talking about connection. I'd say this kind of started to build foundation for new relationships and new connections, and especially in terms of social and political and peaceful activism, networking is very, very important. And so I'd say, especially with this was very useful and very, you can apply this to the real world since it's what we're doing right now.
I felt very listened to, which is nice, and I definitely have a little more. Well, I have faith in everyone here as good people, and that there are tons of good people outside of here too. But it's good to see in people's eyes that they're a good person and trying to do good things.
And coming over to you.
I felt honored by being asked a question. And then, because the question was, how can I help? I felt guided in the increase in my empathy and the increase in my desire to be helpful. And I think that that's a really good foundation upon which to build relationship. Feeling honored and feeling caring toward the other person.
My name is Eva again, and I felt really supported and listened to, and that was a really awesome feeling. Just to I do feel like there is kind of a bit of a generation gap, and sometimes it can feel sort of isolating that you might be in your college community or something and you don't necessarily you don't feel heard outside of that group, but that we actually are heard, and that we are listened to, and there are people that are wanting to, having that same struggle of wanting to connect, and it was really great to hear that.
Okay, I'm heading over to Will. Elders, feel free to come in too. Let's find a balance.
I personally felt very honored to be listened to by people, and then to hear what it was like back then on what the normal was. We're talking with people of a different skin color, and what you would typically call them by to be polite. And that's one of the things that I found very much interesting in this. Very humbling.
My name is Todd, and I felt a lot of joy working with younger people. And this particularly hit me just last year when I got a DUI, and I was in a whole room full of younger DUI people that the police sent me to. And I realized I hadn't talked to young people in my whole entire life since I was 20. And then I realized how much my longing to talk with younger people and how satisfying it is to me to just actually work with younger people. And so, thank you.
I felt really reassured by the fact that our group over here, as I posed the whole being upset by apathy and indifference, the fact that that's a continuous struggle. You're going to keep coming across people after people who just seemingly don't want to care because it's an inconvenience or it's a hindrance to their lifestyles. But the fact that this is an ongoing struggle and challenge, and that you guys here, I'm assuming, are still fighting that battle, it makes me want to hold through for the best.
Yeah, I was talking to Bash, or we were talking to Bash, New Orleans. And I was impressed at his intelligence, his eye contact. I've heard others here about gender issues, racism. I never heard that when I was growing up. They wouldn't talk about it. And here you are, young, talking about those things. And I was so impressed that you're able to, as they say, grab the bull by the horns. Because we're on the way out. So we need you. And as the Reverend said, you're on the front line. We're just helping you and being there when you need us, because we haven't stopped. And we're going to continue. And Chet, you're tough. I like that. That we're seeing what truth is, asking the questions, not fearing to ask any question. And I thank you so much for being here.
Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind, yeah, stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Walking and talking with my mind. Stay on freedom. Walking and talking with my mind. Stay on freedom. Walking and talking with my mind. Stay on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Ain't no harm in your mind. Stay on freedom. Ain't no harm in your mind. Stay on freedom. Ain't no harm in your mind. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind, yeah, stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Good God Almighty. Oh, I feel like I can run on a little while longer now. You the boss.
Okay. So I'm the boss, apparently. So what we are going to do, it's going to be, what we're going to have you all do is, we've had this great conversation together, and we're going to keep that going, right?
Yes.
So all of you have, you know, do we want to keep this conversation going?
Yeah.
I still don't feel like it though.
Yeah.
Can we try one more time? Do we want to keep the conversation going?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So all the youth in the center have a piece of paper right now. That's so you can put your contact information on it.
All right.
And that's a way for you guys to share contact information as well. The pens are coming around. So make sure you're connecting with people, hopefully who live in your state. It's full of knots. But let's get at it.
Get right, church, and let's go home. Church, and let's go home.
Get right, church, and let's go home.
Get right, church. Get right, church. Get right, church, and let's go home. Get right, church, and let's go home. Get right.